So my friend and I just watched Across the Spiderverse, and I made him come on here to talk about it. So Garrett, say hi.
Hello.
Yeah, welcome to the podcast.
Great to be here.
Yeah, heck yeah. Okay, so Across the Spiderverse is the newest movie in the Spiderverse, what will be a trilogy, I think. I don't know if it'll be a
Probably.
quadruple. I don't know what to I don't know if there'll be any more movies, but Beyond the Spider-Verse is coming next. But for now, we're going to talk about Across the Spider-Verse. I love this movie so much. What were your initial thoughts?
That is an excellent question. What were my initial thoughts? Well, excitement was definitely one of them. I'd had my wisdom teeth out a week before, so it was great to have something to distract me from the pain.
Yeah.
This movie was amazing, so definitely was a good distraction. The animation, for one, was one of my favorite parts about it.
Oh, yeah.
That's like the main selling point of the Spider-Verse series is the animation. Like, the way that they blend all of these clashing art styles together is, like it's just so genius.
It's so good. The one thing I love about the animation, too, is the fact that you can do so much more that in other Spider-Man movies you cannot do.
Yeah. Because
animation, literally, you can do whatever you want. You can draw whatever. And this took 5 years, and it shows why it took 5 years, and it was well worth the wait. Let's talk plot. So in this, we open with, is it 2 years after the first one, I think?
Good question. Was it? It was probably 2 years.
Yeah, I think it was 2 years after the first one, because Miles was in middle school the first one, and I think he was in 8th grade, and now he's a sophomore, which is crazy to me, because I always was like, wow, he's like a senior, but he's not. Anyways, so it takes place after that, and a lot of this plot, which I like, is it's not only superhero stuff, but it's also kind of family stuff, and it's a great character piece too, and I really liked that about it. It has a lot more Gwen in it, which I love. So Gwen's my favorite character, and Haley Steinfeld does the best job at voicing her, and she's so good. But the movie essentially starts and ends with Gwen, which I think was a really cool detail. And I think the third one is going to be kind of the same.
Yeah.
Any more thoughts on the plot?
There's just so much to unpack here, and all of it is so good.
Yeah.
Obviously the main point of this movie is to be Spider-Man, but the family stuff was so interesting to me. The dynamic between Gwen and her father, and
oh, it was so good.
And how they made up at the end. That was one of the closest things that a movie had made. Yeah. That was the closest I've ever come to crying at a movie.
Oh yeah.
Just awesome stuff there. And then there's the villains.
Oh my god, the villains.
Yeah. Oh my god. Like Spot in the trailers, I thought he was just going to be some one-off villain that Miles was going to fight just to show how he had matured as Spider-Man, but no, he ended up being the main villain, and that was such a culture shock to me.
I know. Yeah. And the one thing they describe him as is they're like, oh, this is a casual villain of the week, and I go in and I'm like, yeah, this is what that's gonna be. And then it was not, and as he evolves, it's crazy. Also, the backstory of Spot is so funny. Yeah. The fact that he was the bagel guy. And I went back and watched Into the Spider-Verse, and when Miles throws the bagel and hits him on the head, it just says bagel.
Progression that he made from just this silly joke villain to Bane of the Multiverse was it felt so natural, but it's so cool that such a minor villain had been put into the spotlight like this.
It was so cool. And then,
no pun intended.
Yeah, literally. That's so funny. We also need to talk about Miguel.
Yes.
Oh my goodness. Miguel was kind of crazy. But one thing I like about him is his motives really do make sense.
Yeah.
He doesn't want different universes collapsing, because we saw what happens when you mess with a canon event. And he doesn't want Miles messing with a canon event of his dad, who's going to die, which is, I think he is going to mess with it. Which hopefully that won't end well. We know that. But it's his motives make sense, and clearly he means well, but he's so menacing and so he literally almost killed Miles, which is you know, it was a weird thing because I'm like, I see where this guy's coming from, but also, dude, stop. You
Yeah,
know?
and one of my favorite things was how he was like this good contrast to Spot. Like Spot was initially portrayed as this really silly villain. Miguel was serious all the way through, and he had such a good backstory that they
Oh,
developed.
yeah.
And like Spider-Man without the traditional cocky boyish charm is such an interesting concept to me. And I think that both the writing and the voice acting of Miguel was just top notch in that regard. B.
Oh my gosh, I love Hobie. Okay, so let me talk about Hobie. I think he is so funny. And one thing I realized is when he's stealing stuff in that one scene with Miguel, he keeps stealing little parts. That's what he used to make the little thing,
Yeah,
like the
oh my
teleporter
God,
for
yeah.
Gwen at the end. Like, that was crazy. I didn't realize that until I went back and like I saw a little clip of that scene. I was like, that's how he made that.
Yeah, and it's another interesting point that like his entire personality is being rebellious, but he's still such a good-hearted
I
character.
know, I love him.
Yeah.
I can't wait to see where that goes in the third movie because he was one of my favorite characters in this one. I want to talk about the ending of the movie. So, major spoilers ahead. So the cliffhanger ending, a lot of people were mad about it, but I thought we knew this was coming because when they teased it after the first one, they said this was part one. Like, it was very clear this was going to end on some sort of cliffhanger or something. And this cliffhanger was amazing. And I think, like, especially at the end, we were talking after this, and I said the amount of times I audibly gasped was insane. Like, it was every 2 seconds during those last like 10 minutes of the movie. And there were so many points where I was like, oh my God, it's gonna end now. This is the cliffhanger ending, and it kept going. And that was really fun. And then obviously we saw the other Miles, which was the second I saw the Prowler, I leaned over to Garrett and I said, that's Miles.
Yeah.
And
And when Uncle Aaron showed up, your jaw was on the friggin' floor.
it was really funny. No, I had such like intense reactions to this ending. And the only thing I can think is how amazing the third one's gonna be based on how amazing the first one was, how the second one in some aspects topped it, especially in the animation aspect. I can't even imagine how good the third one's gonna look. And the third one's set up so well already, and luckily we don't have to wait 5 years, only 9 months. So I think that's really good. But we have some theories for the next movie. So do you want to start on some of your theories?
Oh yeah, so we were talking about this right after the movie. Who do we think is going to die in the next one? Because
Yeah.
honestly, that's kind of a given. Someone is going to die. Now, Anna was suspecting either Gwen or Miles's dad, but I had a different theory. I think it's going to be Peter B. And see, here's why. Miles's whole deal is that he is going against the grain of the Spider-Man, that he's trying to forge this own path against a destiny that has been written for him. And the traditional Spider-Man canon events involve the captain that he's close to dying, and him getting with Gwen Stacy and her also dying. However, because Miles is attempting to forge his own path, I think that through his character arc, his father is not going to die, and Gwen is not going to die, because that's his mission. However, in the original Into the Spider-Verse, in his universe, the original Peter Parker died because there was not supposed to be two Spider-Men in the universe. That doesn't work. So the universe then corrected itself by killing Peter Parker and letting Miles be the new Spider-Man. In Peter B. Parker's universe, he now has his daughter.
Yeah.
Therefore, I do not think he is going to survive. And also it thematically makes sense for Miles' story because he's been a good mentor to him. And obviously I'm going to be sad to see him go because love Peter B.
Yeah.
But I do think that he's going to be the one to kick the bucket.
I originally thought, I'm like, yeah, Miles's dad is going to die, but like he's gonna mess with that canon event.
Yeah.
We know that. And that's really scary, because then we don't know what other major character is going to die. I think, what do we think is going to happen to the other Miles? Like, do we think real Miles, not 42 Miles, is going to defeat him? Or is even going to kill him?
Yeah, I don't know with that. Of course, it's all speculation because we don't work at Marvel, but...
No. I wish. I mean,
yeah.
Dream come true.
Yeah, it's weird, because now we have, like, 3 compelling villains, because this is the antithesis to Miles we're talking about here, mm-hmm. So it's the battle of light and dark here between Miles and the Prowler. So, of course, I believe that non-42 Miles is going to win that battle, but whether it's going to be a battle of wills or a battle of trying to kill one another, I don't really know so far.
Yeah. Unless Miles dies. What if Miles dies in the second one? Or in the third one? What if that happens?
Well, first of all, that would be very sad.
That would be very sad. Oh my gosh. Anyways. So, any more thoughts before we conclude this first episode of my new podcast?
Well, there's got to be some thoughts here. Spiderverse is amazing.
It's true.
Everyone should watch it. Mm-hmm. And it is absolutely worth the price of a movie ticket.
Oh, yeah. And I think, honestly, so a lot of the other Spider-Man movies, we've been rewatching, like, all of them currently. And the interesting thing is, like, all of them are, like, 2 hours. And then this new one is 2 hours and 30 minutes, which I was like, that is going to be so long. Oh, my gosh. But I feel like this is the only Spider-Verse, or not Spider-Verse, the only Spider-Man movie that completely justifies its runtime.
Yeah.
Like, you feel like you can just be flung into the next one. Like, I saw this meme of this guy dressed as 11, and it said, "Me after Spider-Verse," and he goes, "Papa, me want more movie." And I was like, that is literally me. I could have been flung into another 2 hours and 30 minutes without getting up.
Yeah, I was, like, so into it, and I forgot it was going to be a cliffhanger. Mm-hmm. And I was just like, no, keep going.
Like, come on.
And then it didn't.
Also, another thing, there's no after-credit scene. So don't feel obligated to stick around. We stuck around till the very end, and there was no after-credit scene, and we were very disappointed. But I remember you said, you're like, even something stupid, like in the Multiverse of Madness.
Yeah.
I just watched Multiverse of Madness. I didn't like it. Anyways, that's for I'll make a whole other podcast episode about my thoughts on Multiverse. But I wish we got something, but I think it's good that we didn't get anything, because that just builds the anticipation for the next one. And I think the next one will be the best out of the 3 by far. And yeah, so on this podcast, I like to rank movies on good, great, or not so great. Where do we think Across the Spider-Verse lands?
Well, it would definitely be in the great region.
I think it would be above.
There's above the great region?
Well, I'm just making that up, yeah.
Whatever the case, it's definitely there. This is an amazing movie. You should definitely go watch it.
Yeah, this is my podcast. I make the rules. So, yes, there's an above great category. And, yeah, this movie's above great. So, if you have not seen it, first of all, watch the first one, because I saw so many people on TikTok, like, who hadn't seen the first one, who were really confused at the second. If you haven't seen the first one, first of all, masterpiece of a movie. Second of all, you have to watch it before you go see the second one.
Yes.
Run to the theaters. Go see Across the Spider-Verse. So, yeah, thank you for listening to the first episode of the She Loves Movies podcast. Garrett, thank you for coming on.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, heck yes. So, at some point, we'll do reviews of more Spider-Man movies, because we're currently watching all of them. So stay tuned for that, and yeah, thank you for listening.